Victoria finally made it home, not even remembering the route she had taken. Her mind was overwhelmed. What was supposed to be a beautiful day had turned into a disaster. For just a few precious moments, she had found peace, she had found laughter, she had found comfort in Logan's presence. And then everything fell apart. Not because of something she had done, but somehow, once again, everything around her had fallen apart. It seemed like every time she got close to a breakthrough, life had pushed her back 10 steps backwards. Falling to her knees in her secret place, Victoria cried out, God, how did I get here again? What am I supposed to do now? Tears streamed down her face as she replayed the events of the day. On the drive home, she had tried calling Logan over and over. No answer. Victoria stepped out of the shower and wrapped herself in a soft black robe. She made herself a hot cup of tea and settled in the living room, only a few feet away from the very spot where Logan had prayed with her. The silence was deafening. As she stared into her cup, the events of the evening replayed in her mind over and over again. Should I have told him? She whispered to herself. For the first time, Victoria wasn't trying to solve a problem at work. She wasn't trying to uncover a missing file or prove her innocence. She was trying to understand where everything went wrong. Her thoughts drifted back to the park. Should she have ignored Nash completely? Should she have pulled Logan aside and explained everything before things got out of hand? Maybe if she had reacted differently, Logan wouldn't have walked away. Maybe he would have listened. Maybe. But deep down, Victoria knows it was too late for maybes. The situation looked terrible. No matter how she replayed it in her mind, she couldn't see a way back from this one. With trembling hands, she picked up her phone and stared at Logan's name. One more call, just one more chance to explain. The call never connected. Confused, she tried again. Nothing. Her heart sank as realization hit her. Logan had blocked her. Victoria slowly lowered the phone and fought back tears. The man who had prayed with her, the man who had stood by her, the man who was beginning to trust, had shut the door completely. She took a sip of her tea, but even that brought no comfort. The house felt emptier than it ever had before. After sitting in silence for several minutes, Victoria set the cup down on the table and wiped her eyes. There was nothing left to say, nothing left to do. Tonight, the only thing that felt right was sleep. Slowly, she stood to her feet and headed toward her bedroom. As she turned off the living room light, one question lingered in her mind. Have I lost Logan forever? As Victoria slipped into her nightgown and climbed into bed, the silence in the room felt heavier than ever. She picked up her phone one last time and stared at the screen. There was no point in calling. There was no point in texting. Logan had blocked her. Slowly, she began scrolling through their old messages, reading words that once brought comfort but now only brought pain. A tear rolled down her cheek. God, she whispered, I don't understand why I'm here again. Her heart ached as memories of the day replayed over and over in her mind. I never meant to hide anything from him. I truly believed it's over with me and Nash. I thought I made myself clear. I thought he understood that I wasn't interested. Victoria closed her eyes and shook her head. I didn't expect Nash to show up at the park. I didn't expect any of this. The knot in her stomach tightened. Now I've made a mess of everything. She looked toward the ceiling, fighting back another wave of tears. Lord, you know my heart. You know I wasn't trying to deceive anyone. Please help me get through this. I don't want to go backward. I don't want to relive this pain again. For a moment, the room was quiet, except for the sound of her breathing. The answers she wanted didn't come. The hurt didn't disappear. And Logan's name still sat there on her phone, just out of reach. With a deep sigh, Victoria placed the phone on the nightstand and switched off the lamp, pulled the covers around her, and turned onto her side. The darkness filled the room, but sleep did not come easily. As she closed her eyes, only one thought remained. Had she lost the man God had finally brought into her life? Or was this only another chapter in the story that wasn't finished yet? Was this God protecting her yet once again? Please, God, my heart can't take any more. It was 2 weeks later, and Victoria had heard absolutely nothing from Logan. No phone calls, no text messages, no surprise visits, nothing. At first, she checked her phone constantly, hoping she had missed a call or that somehow he had changed his mind. But as the days turned into weeks, she realized the truth she had been trying to avoid. It was over. Logan had not reached out, and unfortunately, Victoria didn't know where he lived. She had no way of finding him, no way of explaining herself, and no way of making things right. Slowly, she began the painful process of letting him go. The hurt was still there, lingering in the quiet moments. But she accepted that there was nothing more she could do. She had apologized. She had tried to call. She had prayed. The rest was out of her hands. So she decided she would go to the housewarming party that she was invited to. Victoria decided she wasn't going to sit at home dwelling on what she had lost. For the first time in 2 weeks, she stood in front of her mirror with a different mindset. She carefully applied her makeup, styled her hair, and slipped into one of her favorite outfits. It wasn't about impressing anyone, it wasn't about moving on, it was simply about living again. The last 2 weeks had been emotionally exhausting, and Victoria was tired of crying herself to sleep and replaying every moment in her mind. Tonight, she just wanted to breathe. She wanted to laugh. She wanted to spend time with the people who cared about her. And for a few hours, she wanted to forget about the heartbreak that had followed her every day for the past 2 weeks. Taking one last look in the mirror, Victoria grabbed her purse, picked up her keys and her gift, and headed out the door, determined to enjoy herself. Victoria pulled up to her coworker's house and stared for a moment through the windshield. My, she whispered. This is just a mini mansion. The house was absolutely beautiful. The stone exterior, the perfectly landscaped yard, and the elegant double doors made it look like something out of a magazine. For the first time in 2 weeks, Victoria felt herself relax. Tonight wasn't about heartbreak. It was about enjoying herself and spending time with her coworkers. Grabbing the gift from the passenger seat, she stepped out of her vehicle and went to the front door. A few seconds after she knocked, the door swung open. Victoria! Her coworker exclaimed with a smile. I'm so glad you made it. Wouldn't have missed it, Victoria replied, holding up the gift. Come on in. Everyone's out back. Victoria stepped inside and immediately looked around. The foyer alone was larger than some apartments she had seen. The furniture was tastefully arranged, the lighting was warm and inviting, and every room seemed perfectly decorated. Wow, Victoria said, looking around. This place is gorgeous. Her coworker laughed. Thank you. Come see the backyard. That's where the real party is. Victoria followed her through the house and out the sliding glass doors. The backyard was breathtaking. There was a sparkling pool, a covered patio, comfortable seating areas, string lights draped overhead, and music playing softly in the background. Several co-workers were gathered around laughing and talking, while others enjoyed food from a long buffet table. Victoria stopped for a moment and admired it all. Wow, she said, this place is beautiful. Thank you, her coworker replied proudly. Oh, Victoria remembered, lifting the gold wrapped gift in her hands. I almost forgot. I have a gift for you. With a smile, she handed it over. Victoria handed the gold wrapped gift to her coworker, who smiled warmly as she accepted it. Victoria, you didn't have to do this. I know, Victoria replied with a grin, but I wanted to. Her coworker thanked her and carefully placed the gift on a nearby table before turning her attention back to the gathering. Victoria glanced around the backyard again, admiring every detail. Girl, this place is gorgeous, she said. I'm taking mental notes because I need to buy a house soon. Her coworker laughed. Trust me, I was doing the same thing every time I visited someone's house before I bought this one. Okay, tell me everything, Victoria said. Who did your decorating? Where did you get this furniture? And don't leave out any of the good details. The two women laughed as they walked through the backyard. For the next few minutes, they traded decorating ideas, discussed furniture stores, paint colors, landscaping tips, and all the little things that helped turn a house into a home. Victoria listened carefully, storing away every suggestion. One day she thought, I'll have a place too. The conversation continued as the party buzzed around them, and for the first time in weeks, Victoria found herself genuinely enjoying the moment. Victoria's eyes scan the backyard, and she sees some of her coworkers. Hey, Victoria, come sit over here with us, one of them said. She grabbed a glass of sparkling cider and went and sat with her coworkers, some of the very same people that ridiculed her during the time of the missing files. Nonetheless, Victoria stood tall, walked over and sat and enjoyed the beautiful view of the backyard. Victoria settled into one of the patio chairs with her coworkers and quickly became absorbed in the conversation. Laughter filled the backyard as everyone shared stories, exchanged workplace gossip, and enjoyed the beautiful evening. What Victoria didn't realize was that someone had noticed her at the moment she arrived. From across the backyard, Logan watched quietly. For weeks he had replayed their last encounter in his mind. The argument, the disappointment, the things left unsaid. 2 days earlier, after much prayer and reflection, he had decided that he needed to call Victoria and talk with her. He never expected that opportunity to come at this housewarming party. As Victoria laughed at something one of her coworkers said, Logan took a deep breath, set down his drink, and began walking towards her. The closer he got, the more uncertain he felt. Victoria still hadn't noticed him. Then a shadow fell across the group. One of the women glanced up first. Victoria turned her head, and there was nothing but shock on her face. Logan? For a moment, she wasn't sure if she was imagining things. He stood there looking just as surprised to see her as she was to see him. Logan, what? I don't understand. What are you doing here? How did you get here? I've been here for over 15 minutes, and I didn't see you. A small smile crossed Logan's face. I've been here. Victoria shook her head, still trying to process what was happening. After 2 weeks, this is where I find you? Logan's expression softened. I know. There was a brief silence between them. I can't explain everything standing here, Logan said quietly, but if you'll let me, I'd like to. Victoria stared at him for a moment. So you do have an explanation? I do, he said. He glanced toward the rest of the guests. Can we walk and talk? Victoria looked at her co-workers, then back at Logan. The question she'd carried for 2 weeks suddenly came rushing back. Finally, she stood. Okay, she said softly. Let's walk. I'm sure you can't wait to find out what happens next. But let me ask you this question and put your answer in the comments. How in the world did Logan end up at this housewarming party? Was it by coincidence? Or was he stalking her like Nash did? Put your answer in the comments. Once again, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Once again, thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.